When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Hello, it's Gareth. Welcome along to the Somewhere on Earth podcast. It's Tuesday, the 8th of April, 2025, and we're recording in London. And with us today, also as it turns out at home, but at your home, Anya is here again. Anya Lichtorovic, our editor, CEO, everything to do with Somewhere on Earth. How are you?
Hi Gareth, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, this week I have to tell you that I have spent far too much time on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube? What, are you looking up your skateboard videos and your drill music and all your other stuff that you're into?
No, I've been putting up lots of tags on our YouTube channel, actually. So if you aren't subscribed, go and have a look, please. And please subscribe, because we have 609 subscribers currently on Somewhere on Earth, the Global Tech Podcast YouTube channel.
That's amazing.
It is. I'm quite impressed with that. We're on YouTube and we're old, or I am at least. And I've been working on that. So please do come and join them. We have all the podcasts there. We also have all the shorts up there. So if you spot little things on your social media, they are all on YouTube. So you can watch them all there.
Subscribe and like, as the YouTubers say.
Comment.
As we're saying.
Comment as well.
And comment,
like,
please. Engage with us. Tell us you're out there. Good. Oh, good on you, Anya, because I know it's time-consuming doing all this social media stuff and optimising the YouTube channel. And I'm sure the listeners will reward you with their likes, their subscriptions, and their comments, and telling their friends and everything. So good stuff. Join us on YouTube, where, folks, you can hear more content a bit like this. Gosh, that was slick. Coming up today, there's a blood shortage in Kenya, so time for technology transfusion perhaps, or maybe a tech infusion, I suppose. We'll talk about that. Also today, the computer model of the human brain that is claimed to be the most advanced yet. We'll tell you all about it and what it might have to tell us about how we can keep our brains younger for longer. And we're back onto the topic of GPS and other satellite navigation systems and how they're critically vulnerable. An influential body now says it's time for action. I'd have said 10 years ago was the time for action myself, but hey, it's all right here on the Somewhere on Earth podcast. Right then, Kenya has a blood deficit, and it's especially urgent in places like the northwestern region of Turkana, where malaria, anaemia and violence are rife, driving up the demand for blood transfusions. Well, now Kenya's planning to roll out technology to modernise blood transfusion services. And Anya, you've been looking into this, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. A joint project between the Kenyan Ministry of Health and a medical tech company, Terumo Blood and Cell Technologies, has been officially announced. Now, why is this significant? Well, there are many blood deserts in low and middle income countries. So globally, there is an annual deficit of more than 100 million blood units in low and middle income countries, resulting in millions of preventable deaths, according to the Blood Desert Coalition. Now, this is an international group of doctors, researchers, patient advocates, policymakers that was set up in 2023. Now, it says that every low and middle income country has these so-called blood deserts, which it defines as geographical regions where essential clinical demand for blood components cannot be met at the point of care in a timely and affordable manner, and at least 75% of cases where transfusion is needed. So that's an astounding shortage there. Why have we got such blood shortages in countries like Kenya? Well, many people are reluctant to donate blood for various reasons. So just generally, it's not part of the culture to donate blood, so there's a bit of apathy. There are negative myths and beliefs, low community public awareness that this is needed, and most importantly, fear that the blood may not be safe. Now, also, not everyone can donate blood, Gareth. I don't know if you've ever been to donate blood, but in UK blood donor centres, it's very clearly put out there, who can and who can't. And in other countries, a lot of UK residents can't donate blood. If you lived in the UK in the 1980s, for instance, now obviously there was the mad cow disease scandal then, and because of the risk of Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, so the human equivalent of that, many countries won't accept British blood, quite simply. But also, we're going back to Trump again here, because blood to many countries like Kenya actually comes from outside of the country. But with the US foreign aid programs being closed down by the Trump administration, this may no longer be an option in many places, because that foreign aid from the US also funded blood into countries.
So depressing. So a little bit of technology is needed by the sound of it.
It is. So automation is the key here. Faster, higher quality processing of donated blood, and then also the added benefit of less wastage, quite simply. So it's the modern automated systems. Everything is done automatically. The desired volume of blood is collected, then it automatically gets cut off. This blood bag is then put in a machine, which is basically a centrifuge. And this whole blood, as that is collected, can be separated into different components. So red blood cells, platelets, plasma, residual leukocytes. Barcodes are on the bags. They ensure that the source and destination of each bag can be monitored, and the bags can go off where they need to go. Now, so along with these improvements, you can also see pathogen reduction technology, software that analyzes the vast amount of data that are collected, and that software can also help distribute the donated blood much more effectively to the places that are needed most. So once this whole project is deployed in Kenya's regional blood centres, the technology will extend the shelf life of red blood cells from 6 days to 45 days, says the Ministry of Health, and allow for frozen platelets to last up to 2 years. So that will be a huge difference to what they currently have. And similar projects in Zambia and Uganda have seen them leapfrogging in technology. Hopes are the same for Kenya, and this will really make a significant improvement to levels of donated blood.
Nice one, Anya. Thank you. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Really encouraging stuff.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Well, now we're going to talk, it's a kind of a bit of a kind of life sciences, kind of medical kind of theme, certainly in this top half of the podcast, because we're going to talk about the most comprehensive computer model of the human brain of its kind. Now, that's what the people behind it are claiming and what they're saying. This is all about how the brain uses and stores energy. The conclusion: diet, exercise, and supplements could help our brains stave off the effects of aging. Well, okay, it's not new to say that body health equals brain health, but the detail in which the computer model looks at brain cell interactions, blood flow and blood chemistry, all that good stuff, this is unprecedented. And just to be clear, this isn't about building a virtual brain that reveals how we think or does mind reading or anything like that. This is just about better understanding how our brains tend to become less efficient as we get older, affecting our memory and how well we think and learn. The work has recently been published in Frontiers in Science. That's the flagship open access journal from Frontiers. The lead author is Polina Shichkova, and she was with the Blue Brain Project at the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne in Geneva when this work was done. Now she's at the proteomics company Biognosis. She told us more about what she did.
I built a model of 151 differential equations that basically describes how the energy metabolism and signaling between neurons works in the brain. And it also includes some blood flow related functions. So this is actually the representation of the biochemistry inside the neurons and astrocytes that tells us how our brain is fueled. We can go deeply inside the cells and get there the proteins, enzymes, and this is what tells us how we think.
This is the most complex model of its kind ever generated, isn't it?
To my knowledge, it is.
So when you talk about brain metabolism and, you know, the brain is this enormous, incredible machine that consists of things like proteins and cells, things that we may remember from our biology lessons, would you say that you're modeling the brain right down to that minute level, almost like to the cellular level?
Yeah, exactly. So we go that deep that for each single enzyme that they consider relevant, that are like around 100 of those in the model, we have the mathematical description of how it works, and they put these pieces together to tell how these biological machines within the cells will convert metabolites and other molecules one into another, and this from the very much bottom up will tell us how the brain actually processes signals, how it functions, it gets energy for doing its work.
So, and when you talk about metabolism, my way of understanding metabolism in a very superficial way is it's to do with energy, like our body metabolism is to do with, you know, how we take energy in from our food and then how it works throughout our body. So you're bringing that into the brain level then, is it? Looking at the brain as almost like an entity of energy exchange or something?
Yeah, like ATP is the main energy molecule there, but that's like the currency. And there are multiple biological machines that define which part of the cell gets how much of this currency at which time, if I say it in the plain words.
Sure. Okay. So the brain is like a machine of machines, isn't it? Of like billions of machines. Can you put into context the scale of this model if you're going down to individual enzymes in this unfathomably complicated organ?
Yeah.
Can you quantify for me just the complexity of that?
So we looked at the key pathways only. And even that key pathways and key proteins and metabolites of these pathways. And even that took us like 176 metabolites and like around 100 enzymes, then like 19 transporters and around 70 other processes. So this is like a glimpse of the main contributors to the brain function First, I built the healthy state model. And it was actually a surprise to me that when my thesis supervisor asked me to model the aging, to include the aging data, that it actually worked, because I was expecting that this complex system may probably not handle it. But that was amazing. Yeah.
Which brings me to, again, a really interesting part of this paper is that you're looking at aging then. You're looking at how aging affects the brain and ultimately coming up with conclusions about how we can, maybe arrest or at least ease the aging process in the brain. So just tell me, and treat me like a beginner here, but tell me how you brought that into the model.
So we first modeled the healthy state. Then we included the literature data, the published data on what happens in aging to some of the components of the model. And with that, we could model the age state and surprisingly observe what we would expect for many things. And with that, we then tested if we can see how to reverse this age state into healthy state. Like looking at the model outputs of the age state, we set different parameters, like not those that they already know this is how they change in aging, but other parameters that are related to lifestyle changes, that are related to some key proteins that we identified as potential aging markers, let's say. So we set these parameters for optimization, and then the automated process tell us, okay, these are your best guess therapy. And like that was really fascinating that one of the top performing therapies was indeed what is known to be the healthy lifestyle interventions. That was really like a miracle to see that. The other top scorer was very targeted therapy, which is not that easily accessible to everyone. But like maintaining the healthy diet, exercise, is what can pretty much everyone do.
Excellent. And so that's the brilliant thing about having a computer model, because you can go in and you can tweak certain parameters in a way that you couldn't do in real life. And in the same way that meteorological models can predict what would happen with certain climatic or weather-related events using their computer models, with your one, for instance, ultimately it could lead to new targets for dementia, for instance.
Yeah, this is the beauty of what we observed, that we didn't need to tweak the parameters. The model already told us itself in the optimization procedure, it was unbiased, that this is how it should work.
That's Polina Shichkova, and if that interview has captured your imagination and you'd like to know more, Frontiers in Science divides its content into these really super useful article hubs, and there's one devoted to Polina and her team's research. So the hub brings together lots of different kind of resources related to that particular paper. So you can check out the article hubs. It's a link on the Frontiers in Science website, dead easy to find. You can download the original paper there if you really want to go into it. And you can sign up for a deep dive session with the author. And that deep dive will be on the 7th of May. And you can do a Q&A, you can find out a little bit more, ask more specific questions. They've even actually done a version for kids. In other words, journalists like me who just want it explained simply. So there you go. Really, really useful.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
So we're going to move on from the brain to GPS, because if you're a frequent flyer with us, you may remember our last October item on GPS jamming and spoofing. And if you're an actual flyer, when you get out onto the aircraft, this is an issue that's likely to affect you, even though you may not have realised, because interference to satellite navigation systems commonly affects aircraft systems. And it's also an issue for shipping, logistics, power grids, in fact, anything that relies on location or timing signals from satellites. And to be honest, that really just means like anything. This is a really big deal. So now the International Telecommunication Union, the ITU, has just put out a joint statement on all this, urging states to enhance security in such systems. So let's bring the excellent Anya into this. So back on our agenda again, Anya, very important stuff.
Indeed it is. So just a gentle reminder of what jamming and spoofing are from Ramsey Farragher, who was on Somewhere on Earth in October last year.
So jamming is when you transmit noise to just block someone's use of a radio signal. And so it can be as simple as just turning on a radio receiver and having it feed back a microphone straight back into the speaker and just making noise like that. And so it's very cheap and simple to do. And the big problem with GPS jamming in particular is that the satellites only transmit a 50-watt signal from 20,000 kilometers away out there in space. And so if you're transmitting noise at a much higher power, a few hundred watts or kilowatts, and you're much closer, like just a few hundred miles, then you will easily swamp out the true signal coming from space and just deny the use of it completely. So spoofing is when people transmit fake versions of the true signal. So one of the blessings and the curses of us all being able to use GPS in the civilian sector for going to the shops and stuff is that loads of companies can build GPS receivers because they know exactly what the signal content is that the satellites broadcast. They can decode it, they can translate the data from it, do the maths on it, calculate position fixes. But unfortunately, that also means because we can read all of that data and we understand exactly what it looks like, it's not very hard to knock up your own radio, which is transmitting fake versions of the signals. And then you can make someone else's GPS receiver believe it is wherever you want it to be.
The rising number of incidents disrupting aviation, maritime and other satellite communication services have been reported to the ITU by several member states, requesting in assistance from them to resolve the matter. So these reports have now prompted the International Civil Aviation Organization, the International Telecommunications Union, as you said, Gareth, and the International Maritime Organization to issue a 5-page statement about this. And these UN agencies are calling on member states to do a number of the following things. Safeguard the RNS, that's the radio signal, from transmissions that could cause harmful interference, degrading, interrupting or misleading signals intended for civilian and humanitarian use. Strengthen the resilience of systems dependent on RNSS for navigation, positioning and timing against such interference. Maintain adequate conventional navigation infrastructure for backup support in the event of RNS failures. Enhance collaboration among radio regulatory bodies, civil aviation, maritime defence and enforcement authorities, and report instances of harmful interference impacting RNSS to the relevant telecommunication authorities. Now, the main aim here is to increase cooperation between member states to protect themselves and others from these attacks. These member states have signed agreements with these UN agencies, so they are obliged to do this. So hopefully we will see a difference, better monitoring, better protection coming soon.
Great, cheers for that, Anya. And it's so good to see this being on the agenda, because we talked about it on this show in October, and that's because I'd done a kind of almost like an investigative piece really for the Beeb about it sometime before, and I've got really into this issue and it hugely matters. And Anya, I was actually hosting a panel the other day about this, would you believe it? At, I don't know if you say CWIC or Quick 2025. It's the conference from Cambridge Wireless, and they did a whole session on what they call PNT, so that's position, navigation and timing technologies. And what's really interesting is that we talk, and rightly, a lot about the positional and navigation element of this, but timing doesn't get talked about very much. But a lot of very time-critical systems rely on satellites to keep themselves in sync, as it were, like high-frequency trading systems, you name it, power grids. So when you've got interference with satellites, then a whole load of very time-critical infrastructure can go quite badly wrong. And this is a whole panel investigating that problem and just coming up with potential solutions. And mainly, in fact, looping it right back to what you were talking about, Anya, the outcome was we just need more governance on this. We need more leadership. So I think to see a body like the ITU really pulling together all these really big bodies and taking it seriously can only be a good thing. That's what I think about that. The end.
Indeed. And talking about time critical systems, apologies to any of our paid for subscribers who got the additional Pod Extra soap version a little bit later. The platform hadn't considered the time change that we've had in the UK on Sunday. And so I was in a little bit of a panic going, why is it not up? Why is it not up? Oh my goodness me. They hadn't factored that in. So it all went up fine just an hour later. That's now all being factored back into pod.fan. And so we shouldn't see similar problems with the next clock change. So search for Somewhere on Earth podcast pod.fan on your search engine. Pay $10 a month and get loads more soap. Please, if you can afford that, that would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
We'd love that. And of course, if it goes wrong on the next clock change, people will get it an hour early.
They will, you see.
They'll get it before we've actually made it.
Quite probably, actually. Let's be honest, handy. It's always a bit close to the deadline, isn't it?
Be a bit touch and go sometimes. Oof. Right, there we are. So what else do we need to remind the listeners of? Shall I tell them how to get in touch, Anya?
Please do. Why not?
Yeah, go on then. It's the usual really on the email, hello@somewhereonearth.co, and WhatsApp code 44 7486 329 484. And don't forget, folks, we are a proud partner of the Evergreen Podcast Network. We're so proud to be a partner of the Evergreen Podcast Network. We can't give too much away, but we're in negotiations about a little bit of a co-production that will come your way at some point. We probably can't say much more than that for now.
We are very excited, and I am.
It's really good.
It's taken me back to my youth. Really has. Being a little girl again.
This topic.
This topic. Oh yeah.
This topic.
Dreaming about it since the age of 4, I'm sure.
Oh, really? That's a bit early to be thinking about all that.
Well, I think most girls do, really, to be honest with you.
They do, don't they?
It's just you guys are kind of unsuspecting. I don't know what's happening, to be honest with you. Right, leave it there, because we might give it away.
Leave it there. Exactly, right. We've already said too much.
Far too much.
Anya was getting a bit confessional there, which I was actually quite enjoying, so I just let her get on with it. I think we all were, really, to be honest. So there we are. Thank you, by the way, to Liz Toohey, our production manager. Great job, Liz. Thank you. Thank you, Anya, for being our editor. And what do you want to call yourself this week? Presenter's friend, expert, commentator, hack. Yeah, just.
I bet because I have been hacking away at those stories and stuff. Proper hacking this week.
And thank you, dear listener, for being here, and to the subscribers who are about to hear the extra stuff. And thank you, Gareth, for doing this, presenter. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Hi, everyone. It's Michael Calore, Director of Consumer Tech and Culture at Wired, here with my colleagues, senior writer Lauren Good.
Hello.
And Wired contributor Zoe Schiffer.
Hey, everyone.
We're here to tell you about our new podcast, Uncanny Valley, a show about the people, power, and influence of Silicon Valley.
Every week, we get together to talk about how technology and culture from the Valley is influencing our everyday lives.
We dig into questions like, will we ever get our privacy back? Is OpenAI for real? And how are Silicon Valley billionaires impacting U.S. elections?
The first episode of Uncanny Valley comes out on October 31st. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.